In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your inner tie rod on your Subaru Impreza, located behind your front wheel. Using a 19mm socket, I'm going to remove my 5 lug nuts. Then remove your wheel. Before removing the outer tie rod out of the knuckle, we're going to go ahead and break this 19mm nut free. You can use a 13mm to hold the inner tie rod. Make sure this nut is nice and free. Remove the cotter pin out of the outer tie rod. Using a 19mm, remove the outer tie rod end nut. Remove the tie rod end out of the knuckle. You can hit this with a hammer and it sometimes will pop out. I'm going to be using a remover. As you remove the outer tie rod, count how many turns it takes. Using a 13mm wrench, I'm going to hold the inner tie rod, and a 19mm socket, I'm going to spin off the nut. Remove the clamp on the outer side of the bellow. Using a pair of cutters, I'm going to remove the inside band off of the rack and pinion bellow. Remove the rack and pinion bellow. Using either a large set of pliers or a inner tie rod removal tool, we are going to remove the inner tie rod. Install the new inner tie rod. Start it by hand. Get it finger tight. Then we're going to torque it to 66 foot-pounds. Install the rack and pinion bellow. Push it until it seats, and make it sure it seats on the rack. Once it's seated on the rack, put on your zip tie and tighten it down. Secure the boot using the supplied clamp. Install the nut on the outer tie rod. to about where it was on the old unit. Then install your outer tie rod, remembering how many turns you went in. And reinstall into the knuckle. Install the castle nut onto the outer tie rod stud. Torque the castle nut to 20 foot-pounds and then up to an additional 60 degrees to line up the slot in the castle nut to the hole in the stud. Install a cotter pin and bend it up around. Using a 13mm wrench and a 22mm wrench, I'm going to hold the inner tie rod and tighten the jam nut. Install your tire. Put on your 5 lug nuts. Go ahead and tighten those down in a star pattern to make sure it goes evenly. Torque the lug nuts to 100 foot-pounds in a star pattern. And I like to give them a once-over. And if they're still moving when you do that once-over, do one more. Once the job is completed, make sure you bring it to a professional to get it aligned.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.